All right, guys. So let's start with module 2. This one, we're going to talk about themes and plugins. So when we talk about themes, it's the base construction of your actual website. So a theme will lay out the foundation to either make it easier for you, or it'll lay out the foundation for you to fully customize how you want your website to look. So what I mean by that is we typically like to use theme forest. Okay, so when you click on WordPress themes, you can just click on WordPress, select the type of brand you're going to look for, whether you're selling weddings, whether you're a technology-based company, nonprofit, educational, retail, entertainment. Sure, why not? Let's take a look at real estate. Let's see what they have for themes. So everything does come at a cost. Now, the good thing is that when we talk about themes, it does, again, lay out the foundation for you. So think of it as like a cookie cutter in a way. So if I were to click on this one, and I really like the way how this one looks, you can go ahead and click on preview item. And this is the theme that you would be getting. All the sections are still fully customizable. We'll talk more about fully customizing the sections later on. But see, you would start off with a main image in the background, just like this here. You would start with text here. You would start with a subheading there. You would start with a form there. And then, of course, it would just give you a general idea of how the actual website would look. Okay, so these are the pages within it. This is how the pages would look. And again, everything is already set up in this format. So all you would literally have to do is go in, change colors, change fonts if you want to use a specific type of font, whether it's a sans serif font or whether it's a non-serif font. If you want to choose different colors apart from the blues, you can edit all of that. It's fully customizable. The only thing is, again, like I said, it just gives you these layouts. So that way you can go ahead and just build off of it. So it ultimately depends on you, but that's what themes are for. So themes can either pave the way and set up a very good foundation, so that way you already have something to work off of, or you can use what we use, which is X themes, which is, think of it as a blank canvas. Okay, we like to build everything custom for our customers. So when you use something like X themes is literally just a blank canvas. You have to start everything from scratch. Okay, so it's entirely up to you. There's other places where you can get WordPress themes. We typically like to use ThemeForest via Envato. It does come at a cost. Again, it's not really a crazy cost. It's maybe between $30 to $50 per theme. Honestly, it's worth it. Just choose whichever theme you prefer. You download it and it automatically installs into WordPress. You're all set. Now, how do we define what the themes look like? So when you click on the left-hand tab over here where it says appearance, see, that's the one that we use, which is child theme based off of X themes. So now we click on customize. For under customize, here's where you can change your actual favicon, which is this little icon here. You see how Envato has their own favicon here. You can change that. All you would have to do is click on change image, and whatever image you decide to upload, right now it shows up as a black background, but that's because it's a PNG file. If your logo has a specific color background, you are more than welcome to put it in with the background. I'll tell you the sizes for the favicon is 161 pixels by 161 pixels. It's really, really small, and it literally just needs to be an icon. Okay, here's where you put the site's title, and then of course where you put the tagline. Now, see here, that's where you see the taglines. That's where you see the headings for the actual website. That's where you see the title. Now, the menu structures. Here on the themes, this is where you can play around with the way how the menu structures lay out. You can only play around with the way how they are in order. So think of it in just terms of order of operations. So under footer header, so where it says footer header all the way at the bottom, okay, on the about us, let's say I want contact us to be all the way at the bottom for XYZ reason. Literally just left click on it, drag it all the way down to the bottom, and then see, changes are done in real time. All I would have to do is click on publish, changes are done. Let's say I want about us to be a sub menu of contact us. Same thing, left click, hold it down, drag it, and then in this case, if you look at that dotted line, that's right behind what I'm holding with the mouse, it's aligned with contact us, so that means that it would just fall under it. If I move it a little bit to the right, and you can see that that dotted line shifts over to the right, and then I let it go, you'll notice now that when these menus here at the footer, they don't typically show that way, so that's not really a good example. But what I'm trying to do there, when you see something like under the main menu, you see how services has a drop-down menu? That's because under services, you have all these items here. So then you have a sub-menu. You see under strategy here, you have all these pages here. And then followed by website, which is the second tier. And then website has its own drop-down menu. And then you see website design has its own drop-down menu. So the whole point is that you can continuously create as many drop-down menus as you want. So now you'll notice that Shopify website's here. So when let me click on publish so that way it can save the changes, and then that menu structure will update. You do have to tend to be patient with the menu structure, just because when you have a long menu structure like this, it does take about a minute to refresh. So when you click on refresh now, the information should be saved. So we hover over services, website design, and then see now Shopify website has another drop-down menu. Now I can't see it because this here is in place, but the whole point is that it has a drop-down arrow now, meaning that it has a sub-menu for it. Okay, now we want to go ahead and revert everything back to it, because right now this is a live site and we definitely do not want to play around with the live site. So let's go ahead and click back on changes. Publish now. We'll hit the refresh button. And then now everything will go back to exactly the way how it was. Yep, now we are all set. So never click on the X, just because it'll go ahead and exit you out of the actual theme loader. There are other things that you can do with the theme loader. So if you click on customize X in theme options, which in this case will take you directly to your theme loader, there's other things you could do here too as well. You see you have layout and design. You can either do boxed in, which if you do boxed in, you'll notice that it kind of creates like a border in a way, and it sets all the content to only be within those border guidelines. Personally, we like to do full width, but you can define it exactly how you want. You can also define any specific backgrounds for the entire website if you want to do a specific color. Typography, very big too as well. So typography, you can go ahead and enable the font manager. Here you can define the actual sizes, okay? And if you enable the font manager, what's going to end up happening is that you can go ahead and define which type of font you want to use for these, okay? So now, see, for like headings, we're using the Inherit family, okay? And then you can just change everything, how the links, instead of them being that blue color, you can change them to look a red color. So let's say you want to do red. See, so now these here are red as opposed to being blue. Okay, buttons, you want to change the buttons, you can change them different colors. Headers as well too, if you want to make them static, which meaning that they're just not moving. And at the top, or if you want them fixed at the top or fixed to the left, the alignment, whatever you prefer. If you want to add a logo, font size, again, font family as well too. You can add the main logo all the way at the top here. Logo alignment, whether you want it left aligned, side aligned, same thing. All these things you can define. Now, when you define one of these things, so like now that the links are red, that means that all the links throughout the rest of the site, if we have them, will also be red too as well. So when you change it on one link, it changes it for all of them. That we don't have any red on this site right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and click back, click leave, just because it's a live site and we definitely do not want to make changes to a live site. So see, everything reverts back to normal. Everything is blue, blue, and blue. And we really like blue within the company. But that is pretty much an overview on the themes. Okay, you can customize the type of font. You can customize the colors. And then, of course, you can edit your logo. You can also customize the order of how you put your menus. Okay, so now we can exit out of the theme loader. Now, let's talk about plugins. When we talk about plugins, think of WordPress as the iPhone, and plugins are the apps to that iPhone. So now, typically within a site, any site that's maybe a 5-page site should not have anything more than about 5 plugins. If you have a 10-page site, you typically don't want to have anything more than either 5 to 10 plugins. A 15-page site, you still don't want to pass 10 plugins. A 20-page site, you don't want to pass plugins. Anything 20 and more, I understand the need for having plugins because that just means you have a massive site. So see, like our site has over 70 pages and we have 26 plugins, but we do have a lot of information on our site. So we have active campaign forms, we have regular forms, we also have a bunch of coding scripts as well too. So there's moving elements. We also have things to disable comments from the blogs. We also have pop-up makers as well, so that way they send pop-up notifications, schema. So there's certain customizations. I definitely understand the need if you want to add a plugin. I'm just going to say that I personally recommend not having anything more than 10 plugins if your website is 15 pages or less. And there's a specific reason why I say that. So if we wanted to add a specific plugin, plugins do specific features. And when you look at the plugins tab, you will see that each one of these adds a specific sort of function for the actual website. So like for duplicate page, it duplicates post, it'll also duplicate pages, and it'll also duplicates post using a single click. Disable comments. It allows administrators to globally disable comments on their site, so forth and so forth. Active campaign. It associates a third-party platform, which is Active Campaign, to gather information that is input by the user into a centralized database, and then we can use that information to send out either newsletters, either sales campaigns, or any sort of tracking media that we have for our users that they allow us to track. So again, each one of these has a specific function. The only reason why I say try to limit how many plugins you have is because we've come across certain websites where a lot of the information is living within the plugin. One thing that you have to realize is that this section right here where it says buy on every single plugin, see, this plugin was created by Chatleo. This plugin was created by this developer. This plugin was created by that developer, so forth and so forth and so forth. All these developers are not necessarily associated with WordPress. So what does that mean? When you have an update for the actual site and for that actual plugin, if that plugin does not necessarily meet the requirements for the latest version of WordPress that you have, that plugin will not function properly. And let's say you have all your pages built, because there are plugins that are WordPress builders that are a lot more simplified than what I'm going to show you in module 3 and 4. The only problem is that if that plugin does not have compatibility with your current version of WordPress, your entire site will go down. You will lose the information until you have the proper compatibility, and that's really what you want to avoid. You want to avoid the downtime. So when we look at the plugins, and if you see that there's a new plugin available, don't look in the actual plugins tab. Go to dashboard, click on where it says updates. Once you get to the updates tab, see here, it'll tell you what the actual compatibility rate is. If it's 100%, perfect. Go ahead, select it, click on update plugins. If it says unknown, typically what I like to do is you can update the ones that say 100% first. So in this case would be this one, and then I would just click update, let the wheels turn. It'll send me a notification once the updates are done. And then I would go back to this one and this one. Just because they say unknown doesn't mean that they're not compatible with your version of WordPress. What that means is that it hasn't been tested. So my best recommendation is update the ones where it says 100% compatibility, then make a backup of your website, update these two individually, and after you update each one, go back to your website. Make sure everything looks good. Make sure everything's functioning properly. If everything is functioning good, even though it said unknown, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not compatible. It just means that the author hasn't run the test to make sure that it does have the compatibility rating. And that's really what you're looking for. So now, let's say you want to add a specific plugin. You're more than welcome to add a specific plugin. When you go back to the plugins tab, you can either just hover over this menu and then the menu pops out where you can add new, or when you're at the plugins page, you can actually just go ahead and click on add new. So here's kind of what's called the store. Think of it as Apple's App Store. Okay, you can specify what kind of search query you want. Let's say you want to add a testimonial slider to your web page. So testimonial, and I spelled it wrong, but it still picked it up. So super testimonials. It'll tell me how many active installations there are. It'll give me ratings. That's really what you want to dig into. Let's try contact forms. So contact. So see something like this here, 4 million active installations compatible with your version of WordPress. There will be some that says untested with your version of WordPress. Those are the ones that will return the errors that say unknown. Those are the ones that you want to stay away from. Okay, so this one says 4 million active users. The best WordPress contact form plugin, drag and drop online. So see, this one is probably one where you won't have to offer any custom coded options. If you click on the name, it'll tell you a brief description as to what the plugin is. Okay, it'll also give you an installation, a guide, frequently asked questions. You can reach out to the developers as well, a change log as to what their actual updates have been about, so that way you can stay on top of those, screenshots of the actual app. And if I click on the actual screenshot, it looks pretty simple. It looks like in order to create this form, you're literally just dragging single line text, drag that one here, single line text, drag that one there, define it as the last name. If you want to add any drop down sections, if you want to add a multiple choice, it looks like you can add a lot of sections here. So we're going to go ahead and click out of that one. And all you would have to do in order to install it on your site is just, right now it's already currently installed on our site, but you can just go ahead and click on install now. And then once you click on install now and it's done installing on your site, you click on activate. Once it's activated, it will say active. Now, when you look at the plugins again and you hover over into installed plugins, it will show you all the plugins that are actually installed, but it's not going to filter them out necessarily by those that are deactivated. See, this one has an option to deactivate right now because they're actually active. These two are not active on our site. So for whatever reason that we don't have them active on our site, there's a specific reason for it. Only you will be the ones to determine why it's not active on your site. But this section here leads to some plugins have a settings tab. So like redirection, you can work directly for this tab here and then see, it'll tell you how many times you want to stay on top of your redirect logs, how many times you want to stay on top of your 404 logs. If you want to go ahead and redirect your 404s, this is where you would add all that information. So let's say you have a broken link or you have a link that's just not functioning properly and you want to redirect that link somewhere else. Not a problem. Easy to do. So all you would have to do on that one is just go ahead and add the information there and you're all set. Same thing with the rest of the plugins. Some plugins have other places where you can edit it. So like for contact form 7, if I click on settings, see, it'll take me to that place where I can actually edit the form on there. So it looks like it requires a little bit more custom coding, but that's just whatever our developer decided to use. Had we used the other plugin, we probably would have just had a more simplified version of the contact form. Going back to the plugins tab, see, there's another one here for like Slack live chat. So within our company, we use Slack a lot. And Chatlio is a third-party company that integrates with Slack so that way we can communicate with our customers via our website. Now, there is no settings tab, and what I'm trying to get at here is that there's two places you can look on how to define the parameters for Chatlio. You can either check under settings, or you can check under tools and see under tools, there's the Chatlio option. So when I click on Chatlio, I see here this product ID code. This here lets me know that the actual settings are saved outside of WordPress. And that's ultimately what I'm trying to get at. You gotta vet which plugins are actually going to benefit your website, because if it's not a WordPress plugin, it is developed by another person, another third-party developer. And again, like I said, if that plugin decides to go out of date and there's no compatibility with your current version of WordPress, that feature will not work. So always try to check and see what their change logs are, so that way you can see how frequently they're updating their plugins, and also check out their reviews. A lot of times they'll tell you about customer service. A lot of times they'll tell you about downtime. A lot of times they'll tell you anything pretty much you need to know based on the reviews, just like Amazon shopping. So again, try to limit how many plugins you have. I understand that if you have a website that's 40 pages and up, okay, you'd be fine if you have 20 plugins. Try not to pass anything more than 30. There have been 5-page websites that I've come across that have 41 plugins, and that is just a big no-no. If you have a small site, anything between 5 pages to 15 pages, try to stick within the 10 plugin mark or less if you can. Just try to build as much as you can on WordPress without having to build on all these plugins. Otherwise, it's just set up for a mess, to be 100% honest. And with that, we'll go ahead and transition over to Module 3.